Hey everyone, we are back with another great podcast, Beyond the Boardroom with the Black MBA DFW chapter. And I am excited to continue a great conversation we had, if you watched the last episode, around owning your voice in corporate America.
Yes.
And we had a great, and we still have a great guest speaker with us, Jacqueline Baker. And so without further ado, because I think if you guys want more background on her, please watch the last episode because we're going to continue the conversation. I really just want to jump into the meat of this again. So we're going to talk about public speaking, but again, public speaking not in the sense of doing a TED Talk. Public speaking or speaking publicly is what we do from 9 to 5 or beyond, frankly. And so it's important that we refine and own our voice. And so with that, I want to welcome back Mrs. Jacqueline Baker. Hey, Jacqueline. We got it. We can't hear you, Jacqueline.
Now you can.
Yes.
It's a treat to be back. Thank you for having me again.
Yes, and again, I love your background looking like the Oval Office or something. It's really good color scheme. All right. So again, as a refresher, we really just talked about owning our voice and what that really means. And we talked about some key nuggets of from virtual, right? We're all in this virtual space, and how do we ensure that we are putting our best self out there, from preparing for meetings, preparing for that really important meeting, your year-end review, which many of us have coming up, if not already. And so let's kind of like delve into this entrepreneurship, because we have many members who frankly are out of that corporate world. They're like, yeah, I hear you, but I don't report to no one but myself type of deal, which I envy you. But we have many members who are in the entrepreneurial space. We do pitch competitions and things like that. And so we know owning your voice can go a long way. And Jacqueline, just give us a brief sense of your background again, because I really think it's important to know why you are here to talk about this specific topic.
Yeah, thank you for that. If we go all the way back, like if I'm being super honest and like I really rewind, my speaking journey really started in the fourth grade. I had a teacher that really believed in me named Miss Leanna Jackson, and she encouraged me to be an oratorical contest, pretty much poem recital contest for much of my grade school and middle school. I didn't do it in high school. But a lot of those principles that I learned in working the stage and using my tone and diction for persuasion and understanding when to be quiet, like when the silence needs to be powerful. I learned all those things, honestly, really early. But one thing that I have really recognized throughout my entire career, whether on the corporate side or the entrepreneurial side, because I played both sides of the fence, is that being able to eloquently speak about something, and maybe not even eloquently, quite frankly, because I know a lot of people are like, I don't want to do eloquently. I just want to do it enough. Being able to just speak and to give yourself permission to speak up, it only makes you more refined and only makes you better over time. I'm just grateful that so early my teachers planted that in me. And that implantation, if you will, is truly what made me comfortable in pitching, the companies that I've operated in the past. My first business was a wedding and event production company. I now teach modern etiquette and protocol all across the world. And being able to speak about those things, I think has been a huge differentiator between me and maybe even some of my competitors.
That makes sense. You've always, since I've known you, Jacqueline, been just a great speaker. And so again, let's start digging into this. So with our organization, the Black MBA, a lot of our members talk about something that they really want to do, but many of them struggle, which is networking. So even saying that word kind of like, again, even as a chapter president, I still am like, oh, I got to network. It just feels so forced, right? But it really is just talking, right? If we just break it down, it's just having conversation. And so can you give some insights and nuggets on, using your voice during networking, and what do we really want to make sure we comes across?
Absolutely. The first thing I'm going to recommend pre-opening up your mouth is to have a plan. When you don't have a plan for networking, you go into a virtual situation, you go into a real person situation on what I call a card collection spree, trying to collect up as many cards as possible and give out as many cards as possible, instead of really asking yourself, like, what's a target number that I would be comfortable with in today's networking session? Am I good having 3 meaningful conversations, and then once I have those meaningful conversations, I give myself permission to leave? Or are you still just there just trying to talk? Also, what are you talking about? And the reason why that's important is because the average adult attention span, once again, as a reminder, is 7 seconds. And so if you're blabbering on for 4 or 5 minutes, haven't given anybody else the opportunity to weigh in, haven't asked them what they're doing there, or made the connection and made them understand like what's in it for them and what you have to say, which is really important, then really people are really tuning out and not listening to it at all. So have you crafted, what I consider your 15 to 30-second elevator pitch, the quick thing that you're going to say that helps people remember you and remember what you're doing? Have you crafted that? The other thing is, I classify myself as an ambivert. Like I'm not, I'm not on the introvert end, I'm not on the extrovert end, I'm in the middle. And what that means is that often I'll hit my social wall or, my networking wall a lot faster than other people. So I know that I can give myself permission to leave when I want to, right? Which, when I go to a virtual networking event, I'm especially careful on virtual networking events because you can't engage as meaningfully as you could in real life. But I make sure that I have a goal in mind. I'm trying to meet 4 people. I'm doing this in 30 to 45 minutes, and then I'm going to leave. I give myself permission to leave. And so knowing those things and having some goals in place will absolutely help the networking experience a bit more for you. The other thing that I'll say is, I'm sure that we've all experienced a situation where we looked up and we had a stack of business cards, right? That you were just like, I thought I was going to reach out to that person. I really planned on it. And now it's a coaster or whatever you're using it for in your office. Follow up. Like if you spent the time to invest in having a 5-minute conversation with somebody, then go connect with them on LinkedIn. Remind them like, hey, I met you at this event. I just want to follow up because I enjoyed our conversation, instead of assuming they're going to remember you. Like hopefully you're memorable, but people meet people all the time. So make sure that you follow up and remind them. So those are some of the biggest networking tips and recommendations that I really want to share with your community.
Yeah, I was just thinking about business cards as you were talking, like, oh, do we still use those?
Right.
Maybe I need to get some. Like, find me on LinkedIn, hashtag this, Demetrius, you have a question for Jacqueline?
Yeah. Can you really expand on how do you craft that elevator pitch?
That's a good question. First is to remember that you don't need to get it all in. Everything about you doesn't need to be in that elevator pitch. And I especially want to lean into this as it relates to entrepreneurship, because most people that are entrepreneurs typically go on to be an entrepreneur in another category. They start another business. Like you get this entrepreneur itch and you look up and you started 4 or 5 things. Well, what you're not going to want to do is try to pack all 4 or 5 of those things that you're into this one pitch. Really survey the scene and say, okay, I'm going to an accounting networking event. Your pitch should be based on accounting related things or things in that hemisphere, instead of saying, oh yeah, I'm also a chef on the side, and I got a babysitting business. Like it's just too much. Like if there is a clean way to mesh those things in there, then do that. But if not, make it simple, make it plain, make it 15 to 30 seconds. One thing that I immediately do when I know I need to craft a new pitch, or I know I need to, attract someone's attention in a pitch related scenario, is that I start out not with a, hey, I'm Jacqueline, right? Hopefully we would have covered that at another time, or, maybe they already knew who my name was. I'll start out more so with, what's in it for them. Like at the end of the day, it's not just about telling people just about you. At the end of the day, they need to walk away feeling like, oh, that person has something that I need, or that person can solve a problem for me. And so have you baked in the problem statement and the answer that you're solving with your company in that? Last is an ask. And the ask on the end could be, I would love to stay connected with you. I would love to shoot you an email to share a little bit more about the products and services that we have. I would love for you to follow me on social to just, stay in contact with me. So make sure that on the end, you have some type of ask or some type of call to action. Even if it's not, you've sealed the deal, maybe you're just inviting them for an opportunity to connect with you on social. So those are some of the biggest recommendations that I'll make.
Yeah, and I kind of chuckled a little bit in my head, at least, when you mentioned entrepreneurs and serial entrepreneurs. I'm looking at you like, because oftentimes, because I've known Jacqueline for some time, and I'm always like, so what do you want to be called today? Because she does so much and does it well, by the way. But I do think it's important that you read the room and you know exactly, to your point, of what's most relevant. Because not everything makes sense to talk about, and you can spread yourself a bit thin, because elevator pitches, which should be brief, right? Elevator ride up. They don't need to know every line of business that you do, but make that money though. Keep those hustles, but not everyone needs to know. Let's talk about one thing that I know that you've been doing recently is pitch competitions. Can we talk about that?
Absolutely. So I have really a dynamic opportunity in my professional life to sit in some of the best pitch competitions domestically and sometimes internationally. And what that ends up exposing me to are some of the best strategies around pitching, some of the best strategies around deck development, the best strategies around investment, et cetera. And often what I do is I take that information and share it with my own community, with other people that I know to make sure that they're pitch ready as well. And so, the reality is in a lot of the pitch competitions that I sit in, they have a limited amount of time. And sometimes these people have 2 minutes and they're pitching for, a couple $100,000. Sometimes they have up to 10 minutes and they're pitching for even more money or even less money. And so that world that I've had the opportunity to be in for the last couple of years, it has truly taught me best practices that, number one, I'm able to apply to my life. I'm able to recommend to other people, and I'm able to, make a meaningful impact in the innovation space as well. So very fantastic space to be in. And a lot of the recommendations that I provided here today are as a result of sitting in some of those pitch events.
Awesome, awesome.
Mhm.
Let's take a quick little break for a hot second before we get into our last question. But I am curious because as a pitch competition, or I think about sports, frankly, when you walk out on the stage. What's that song, Jacqueline, that you that's either in your head or that you can request um, that can get you excited or get you pumped up for what you're about to present?
Ooh, there are several. I almost want to challenge you to give me a genre of music, but I won't.
Oh,
But
okay, a country.
no, that's a no. That's not gonna work for me. Is there's definitely one, like I like that by Janelle Monáe. Like
Mm.
it's not a super upbeat song, but the words are just like, hey, I'm me, I'm confident in my skin. And before you're presenting, like those types of things absolutely count. Just being able to hype yourself up, having on the right clothes, the power dress that moves you. But that song absolutely works for me.
All right, Demetrius, thank you, Jacqueline, for that. I'm gonna throw it to you.
So I gotta go with my boy from your hometown,
Okay,
Eminem.
Detroit.
Lose yourself. You
Oh,
only get one shot. You gotta go for it and
you
just
gonna
be
rap for
ready.
us? I feel like you really.
You know, not today. We only got a little bit of time, but
Lose yourself. Okay, that's a good one.
I was going to say, Cherice, now you have to go. Don't call us to the carpet and you're not going to do it.
Well,
right.
see, I got to keep a good, decorum to myself. You are an etiquette person after all. Okay, there's a song by Trina. If you know Trina, then that's all I need to say. Um, but there was,
305.
huh?
305.
Yes, I used to live in Miami. There's a song by Trina, I think Trick Daddy, which I'm not going to say, but I think if you know Trina. And then there's another song that, and it's not necessarily related to all the words, but Irreplaceable by Beyonce. It's just like, you must not know about me, and just having that self confidence. I'm not going to sing that song, although I could. But I just think it's the songs that you can just belt out loud, and it just gives you that confidence. So thank you for participating in that, because I know you love music, and we try to incorporate a little bit of music as well. Okay, so last question before we wrap up. Jacqueline, as we approach again 2021 and leveraging our voice, what are and I want you to kind of talk about Just Start a little bit. So just giving away, what you do with your business and motivating and inspiring people. But in the realm of just starting and public speaking, like what are some things that for those that are a little bit shy who are just self-conscious for whatever reasons, anxiety or have um, stuttering or things like that, what advice would you give them in that space to just get out there and go?
Oh, that's such a great question. I'm glad that you mentioned Just Start. The entire birth of Just Start really started in my corporate work, where I go to organizations and teach modern etiquette or leadership. And oftentimes, after those sessions, people will come up to me and say, "Hey, thank you for your words. Thank you for inspiring me. I really want to start X. Like I've been working at this organization for X number of years, and I really want to start this thing." And in their conversation, they totally pretty much tell me why they're qualified to start their thing, but it's like they almost need permission from me, someone that they never met, to help them just start. And so literally just a few years ago, I started an entire platform that is comprised of both a podcast, it's an in-person summit that we do every year. There are online classes that exist, particularly focused on helping people start the things that they want to do. So if you're someone and you're like, oh, I really want to start speaking, or I really want to take my speaking to the next level, literally those words that Cherice and I just mentioned, that's how you get going. You literally just start doing it. And if your aspirations are to ultimately be paid for it, you got to start somewhere, which means that there are opportunities online for you to just literally pop up your Insta stories, pop up your IGTV, pop up your YouTube, and start speaking, start recording yourself and listening back to what you have to say. The other thing to keep in mind is, and I know a lot of people struggle with this, especially as you're starting in entrepreneurship, you start to compare and think, oh, who's going to hire me? Like who, why would I start a photography business? Because it's already a million photographers out here. Well, it's you. Like literally, you are the secret sauce. And the more that you get your voice out there, the more that you realize that there are other like-minded people just like you, that maybe you're just a couple steps in front of, but your words and the things that you have to say can encourage them to start their own journey. And then they keep, training other people or bringing other people up behind them. And so literally it is to just start. Of course, we have a wealth of resources that we provide to help people start, particularly in the area of public speaking at my company, Scarlet. We're at thescarletway.com. So feel free to check those things out. But really, if you are curious about getting your voice out there so that one day you can grace a big stage or feel more confident in a meeting, literally just start speaking at whatever level you're at right now.
Cool. Well, thank you for that. And, I don't think we said this word a lot in this podcast, but we kind of alluded to it, which is essentially what's your story, and making sure you get your story out there, a brief story, a succinct story. A story maybe for a toddler, as I have a toddler that I read book to every night. Like, ooh, can I get through this in a minute? But make sure that you know your story and you refine your story, because people are attracted to stories. And just refine that one. It doesn't have to tell everything, your whole life story, but just a nugget of a story that will hopefully inspire and encourage someone to hire you, as you just said. Well, Jacqueline, thank you so much for coming back to us.
Yes, thank you.
It's been great to have you over these last two podcasts as we really talk about owning our voice, refining our voice, telling that story, because ultimately we're trying to win in 2021, right? And to your point, the differentiator between your business or someone else's is you. So you got to get out there. So with that, members, thank you for giving us your time with our podcast. And we look forward to bringing other great topics to you. Again, this is a podcast that is curated by you. So please continue to submit those ideas, and we'll make sure we have excellent panelists like Ms. Jacqueline Baker. Hopefully you can come back to Dallas one day, Jacqueline. We would love to see you in person again. Demetrius, any last words on your end?
No, I think these episodes have been very informative and very powerful, and just looking forward to leveraging some of the stuff I learned myself.
All right. I'm going to put you to that in our next board meeting.
Okay.
Well, thank you, everyone. And you have a great rest of your day or your evening. And we look forward to seeing you guys again. Thanks.
Thank you.